What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, right here exclusively on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I'm the Renegade JJ Williams, and today we're going to be discussing from 2017, All Eyez on Me, the untold story of Tupac Shakur, starring Demetrius Shipp Jr., Denai Guerra, Annie Ilonze, Jamal Woolard, and Kat Graham. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me today as we round out our celebration of Black music here during our Black History Month celebration on Renegades Reviews. Today, like I said, I'll be discussing All Eyez on Me with Demetrius Shipp Jr. in the role of Tupac and Jamal Woolard reprising his role of Notorious B.I.G. 8 years after he had previously played him in Notorious. Our movie begins in 1995 at the Clinton Correctional Facility, and a documentary filmmaker is arriving to conduct an interview with Tupac Shakur. As he gets things set up and he starts to ask his questions, we flash back to 1971, when Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother, as well as other members of the Black Panther Party, are being released from jail. Now, from a very young age, Tupac is instilled with a sense of Black pride, and he witnesses multiple neighborhood injustices. His stepfather, Mutulu, is busted by the FBI for robbery and murder involving an armored truck. And as Tupac gets older, he distances himself from his mother's more revolutionary ideals and decides he wants to attend the Baltimore School for the Arts, which is where he meets a young Jada Pinkett. And Jada and Tupac's relationship is really kind of on display in here. Like, we always knew that him and Jada had a really serious friendship, but I really enjoyed the way they kind of delved into their friendship in this film. It's definitely one of the high spots for me. Tupac's career in the music industry, of course, takes off when he becomes a background dancer for the Digital Underground. And after a while, he gets tired of just being a background character. And he asks for the opportunity to be on a song. And at first, Shock G and Money B, they kind of clown him a little bit. And Tupac's actually ready to quit, walk out of the group. But they, let him know that they were just ribbing him. And they allow him to be part of the song Same Song, which is featured on the soundtrack for the film Nothing But Trouble, which starred Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Demi Moore. And it's actually Tupac's very first movie role, because there's a scene where the Digital Underground has like a brief cameo in the film. So while a lot of people credit Juice as Tupac's first movie appearance, Nothing But Trouble is Tupac's first movie appearance. Now, with Layla Steinberg as his manager, Tupac begins to have his own hip-hop career begin. And almost immediately, his songs, although popular, are deemed controversial, which causes tensions between Tupac and his record producers. Tupac also begins to feature more prominently in movies, as I mentioned, such as Juice, Above the Rim, Poetic Justice, and collaborating with other rappers, including Biggie Smalls. As a result, Pac is able to generate both controversy and praise. On one occasion, a couple of police officers physically beat Tupac when they catch him jaywalking. And on another occasion, Tupac and Idi Amin, a member of his crew, the Outlaws, intervene when they see two off-duty white police officers assaulting a black man. Tupac is arrested for shooting at those cops. Now, while in New York, Tupac develops a hazardous relationship with Nigel, a drug dealer and music partner who is loosely based off the real person Jacques Agnant, aka Haitian Jack. In 1993, Tupac goes on trial for rape and harassment charges. And on November 30th, 1994, he is attacked by three men in the lobby of Quad Studios. The attack, we later would find out in real life, was ordered by Haitian Jack and resulted in Tupac being shot 5 times and hospitalized. The following day in the trial, Tupac is found not guilty of rape, but guilty of illegal touching and is sentenced to 18 months in prison, during which the prison sentence is the time in which this interview is being taken place. And we keep cutting back and forth to Tupac telling his story to Tupac and the interviewer that we saw setting up at the beginning of the movie. That interview is being conducted during this 18-month sentence. Now, while he's in prison, Tupac hears a song by Biggie called Who Shot Ya? And he interprets it as a diss track, with Biggie bragging about his involvement in said attack. Which, as I stated earlier, we now know factually that it was Haitian Jack who set up the attack and not Biggie or Puffy or Bad Boy or any of those people. So the entire basis for the East Coast West Coast rivalry that we had was a moot point because Haitian Jack initiated the attack on Tupac. Now, while Tupac is in prison, he's assaulted by 2 guards on a regular basis. Pac is eventually released from his sentence, and he immediately signs a deal with Death Row Records and Suge Knight. Now, while he's a member of the Death Row roster, he collaborates with Dr. Dre on California Love, Snoop Doggy Dogg on 2 of America's Most Wanted, and of course, he releases his reply song to Biggie called Hit 'Em Up, in which he brags about having an affair with Biggie's wife, Faith Evans. Tupac eventually completes his contract with Death Row, and he decides he wants to leave Death Row to launch his own record company. He figures he's been in the game for a minute. He's had varying degrees of success. He's a big enough name, acting, music, etc. He can launch his own label and kind of nurture young talent, like his Outlaws clique. Suge offers Pac the opportunity to run Death Row Records East, a subsidiary of Death Row Records that they want to set up in New York to be direct rivals to Bad Boy. Pac agrees to the partnership. On September 7th, 1996, Pac, Suge, and other members of the Bloods are leaving the Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon fight at the MGM Grand in the Las Vegas Strip. And they see a member of the Southside Crips who had jumped one of their friends earlier in the day. Pac knocks him to the ground, and a brawl ensues. Tupac stops by his hotel very briefly to change his clothes, and he tells his girlfriend, Khadida, that he'll be back in an hour. He's going to go to Suge's Vegas club. When Pac and Suge are driving, they pull up to the intersection of Flamingo Road and Koval Lane, and a Cadillac pulls up alongside of them and shoots Tupac multiple times before they flee the scene. Tupac dies, of course, 6 days later at the age of 25, and as of the film's release, Tupac's murder was yet still unsolved. Now, here's some real-life factual tidbits since 2017 when this movie came out. On July 2nd, 2018, Dwayne Davis, aka Keefe D, confessed to having a role in the murder of Tupac Shakur after revealing that he's dying of cancer. He kind of put it out there. He's dying anyway, wants to get this off his chest. And he stated that he was a passenger in the white Cadillac on the night of the shooting. And while he refused to name the other people in the car, or at least all the other people in the car, he did confess that his nephew, Orlando Anderson, who was the individual jumped by Suge, Pac, and the others at the MGM Grand earlier that evening, was the shooter. And that the shooting was the result of the assault and a $1 million bounty that was on the head of Tupac at the time. It still baffles me to this day that for 20 years this case was unsolved. A shooting in Las Vegas on the night of a huge fight, and nobody could solve this case. All the cameras that are all over Vegas, the hotels, the casinos, the streets, nobody could solve this case. Seriously? For 20 years, nobody could solve this case. And it took a man dying of cancer who wanted to try and get some baggage off of his chest and off of his shoulders, coming forward to basically confirm what people suspected all along. The man that got jumped is the man who killed Pac. Unbelievable to me. Now, when it comes to the movie itself, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this movie about how factually accurate it is. And I'm going to throw some of that out the window because at the end of the day, it's still a movie. I'm looking to be entertained. Jamal Woolard, 8 years removed from his original portrayal of Christopher Wallace, Biggie Smalls, the Notorious B.I.G., whatever you want to call him, did an amazing job coming back and stepping back into that role again. Demetrius Shipp Jr. killed it as Pac. In my opinion, he looked like Pac. Now, this isn't a diss to Anthony Mackie. I like Anthony Mackie in the movies I've seen him in, whether it be 8 Mile, whether it be The Night Before, whether it be his role as the Falcon in the Marvel Universe. I like Anthony Mackie. But Anthony Mackie looked like Anthony Mackie trying to be Tupac. Demetrius Shipp Jr. looked like Tupac. Big difference in my opinion. Big difference. And you almost could tell that Anthony Mackie, at this point, he had been the Falcon for a few years. But the fact that he wasn't asked to reprise the role that he played in Notorious, in my opinion, speaks volumes about his role and his performance as Tupac in that film. Because if he had done such a great job, they would have asked him to reprise it. Instead, they got Demetrius Shipp, who killed it, in my opinion. Did an amazing job. If they had Demetrius Shipp in Notorious, I think it would have been an even better movie than that already was. Again, no slight against Anthony Mackie, just one reviewer's opinion. When it comes to the story of All Eyez on Me and the portrayals and all that stuff, I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 stars. I've seen All Eyez on Me a couple times. I do thoroughly enjoy it. I understand some people's criticisms about it, but I'm not looking at that right here. I'm looking at it as a movie, and did I enjoy what was in front of my eyes? I did. I am willing to knock it down a couple of stars because of the accuracies, but I know a lot of people probably would have ranked this film at 2 stars or lower. I feel 3 stars is fair, all things considered. What do you guys think about All Eyez on Me? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comment box below. I will get back to them as always. I do appreciate all of you guys out there that have been leaving me comments lately. It warms my heart to no end to see some of y'all posting comments almost every day, almost every review, something positive that you liked about the show. I greatly appreciate it, each and every one of you. Let's get out there, get those hashtags trending on social media. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios, hashtag Renegades Reviews, hashtag Renegade Returns, and of course the ever popular hashtag Shenanigans. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade J.J. Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag StatBoyApproved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. Don't forget to get out there. Do what the commercial just told you. Go to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network. Get your shirts from the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Renegade J.J. Williams shirt, Dads on Wrestling, Statboy Sports Bar, hashtag StatBoyApproved. Get you your shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, including the Jeff Meacham Network logo in the original logo. You can also get the Back to the Future themed shirt and the Los Angeles Kings themed shirt, your Talk Wrestling shirts, Meachamania, and so much more. Make sure you are here tomorrow for what will quite possibly be my most controversial show to date. That's right. Tomorrow, as we celebrate Black History Month and keep going for about another week, join myself and special guest Jeff Meacham as we break down the controversial, forgotten Song of the South. We are going to dive into this film with kid gloves, try to give it the respect that it deserves as a film while covering some of the sensitive subjects that arise when watching this movie and discussing it. Me and Jeff go for just about an hour on this film, with about the first 20 minutes of it or so being just me and my standard review. But this is a show that I think you really, really are going to want to sit down and take in, because at the end of the day, the stories of Uncle Remus are very much the Southern Reconstruction era, if you will, equivalent of Grimm's fairy tales for the Black community, for the former slaves and the sharecroppers that were around at those times. The stories of Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, Brer Bear, Brer Frog, even, who granted that character doesn't really feature prominently in the movie. But those tales are very much akin to Grimm's fairy tales. So it's definitely a piece of Black history that I felt like we needed to touch on and try to address. Once again, please make sure that you're here tomorrow to check out that review of Song of the South, exclusively here on the Casa D18 Studios channel and Renegades Reviews, as we continue our salute to Black History Month. Once again, thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.